Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to introduce you to an extraordinary fellow named Kerry Tymchuk. Whether in Oregon, Washington, D.C., or anywhere his time and talents have been directed, he leaves an unforgettable, always positive result. Kerry Tymchuk knows just about everyone, or so it would seem from his photographic history, presidents, celebrities, and the like. Please join me as I interview and we learn more about Kerry Tymchuk. Kerry, for starters, what is the main thing you would like people to know about you from watching this interview?
I look like George Clooney.
There you go, the famous sense of humor of yours. Maybe we'll start with asking a few of your friends about you. Senator Johnson?
Well, let me just say without fear of contradiction that Kerry Tymchuk is one of the most remarkable people I know. He is funny, he is smart, he is self-deprecating, blisteringly well-connected.
Patsy?
My title for Kerry is Director of All Good Things in Oregon. I don't know of a more apt title for Kerry.
Gert Boyle, what are your thoughts on Kerry Tymchuk?
He's the shortest guy I know, but really he's the tallest guy I know.
Kerry, you started out as a child, born and raised in the bustling burg of Reedsport, population 4,154. Overall, you loved growing up in this small coastal town. But you always knew there was a bigger world out there beyond Reedsport. Both your parents were role models for public and community service.
And the fact that my dad was mayor is, I think, where I inherited I know it's where I inherited my love of public service, of politics, of history. Whenever the governor, who was Tom McCall back then, or a senator, Mark Hatfield, or a congressman would come through town, they would want to meet my dad, or he would go greet them, and he would drag me along.
So, from high school, you headed to Willamette University. During college, you worked for various state legislators, and your first job after passing the bar was as Deputy District Attorney for Marion County. After a year, Potomac fever set in, and you went to Washington, D.C. to be Legislative Assistant and Press Secretary to Oregon Congressman Denny Smith, until Elizabeth Dole, who had just been named Secretary of Labor by the first President Bush, hired you as her speechwriter. She went on to be President of the American Red Cross. Pretty soon, Bob Dole, the prestigious and famously witty U.S. Senator from Kansas, hired you to be his Director of Speechwriting.
All my time with him, I had a contract with the Red Cross and continued to do a lot of speechwriting for her, and to review a lot of Red Cross material to make it sounded like her, sort of became her institutional memory. And so there was about a 5-year period where I had 2 full-time jobs, and so I say that's when I lost my hair.
So, Kerry, you'd gotten married and were ready to get back to Oregon. Here, you would serve as state director for the newly elected U.S. Senator from Pendleton, Gordon Smith. For 12 years, you would be the eyes and ears of a U.S. Senator in our state.
People have asked me from time to time, when did you first meet Kerry Tymchuk? I can't imagine my life without Kerry Tymchuk. The guy's ubiquitous. I mean, I halfway expect to open up the stall to the women's room in the Capitol and have him pop out. He is everywhere all the time.
You are also, Mr. Tymchuk, a superb golfer with an 8 handicap, a feat few golfers can claim. So, of course, your favorite vacation spot?
Bandon Dunes. So each year, the last 3 years, my son Clark and I have gone down to play in the summer solstice, which they do honor about the longest day of the year. And you play all 4 courses at Bandon in a day, 72 holes. You walk about 25, 26 miles, and you tee off about 5:30 in the morning. You get down about 8 o'clock at night.
He's an excellent golfer, and at one time he was even the best golfer in Reedsport, Oregon.
Now, Kerry, you also happen to be a 4-time champion of Jeopardy.
I was on Jeopardy and won 4 games, about $35,000. I tell people I could find a cure for the common cold, and they'd still be more impressed by the fact that I was on Jeopardy. It's such a universal thing.
Besides golf, you love family, including your dynamic wife of 22 years, Becky, now vice chair of the Beaverton School Board. Tennis, which you're also quite good at, your dog Maverick, Oregon, and the movie Princess Bride. You also have a deep passion for Special Olympics Oregon. In fact, you were chairman of that board for 7 years.
To see the difference that Special Olympics makes in the lives of our athletes, and how it transforms them and the meaning it has to them and how much it brings to them, how it changes their life so much for the better is just remarkable.
Now you're a writer of some notoriety, right?
Another of my great good fortunes, I've been so lucky these past years since I returned to Oregon, was to help 4 remarkable, iconic Oregon business icons share their story. From Gert Boyle to Harry Merlot to Al Reeser to Ken Austin. I mean, 4 just phenomenal individuals. To be able to help them bring their stories to life and to share them with other Oregonians has really been one of the great blessings of my life.
In 2010, Kerry, you were invited to be interim and soon official executive director of the Oregon Historical Society, an organization that needed a turnaround. How did you do it?
Financial stability was clearly the #1 goal. The other goal was to make it more relevant around the entire state. Of course, key to the success of the OHS's last 6 years was the one and only Pete Mark.
I think, my dad, when he was alive, would say that Kerry was one of those people that took an institution that was struggling at the time to have an identity, and the two of them were able, through my dad's historic collection, really reformat and really rebrand the Historical Society to something that people wanted to come to, and it was a place people wanted to be.
Okay, Kerry, let's talk about politics. You've been involved in the political arena for many years at local, state, and national levels. We'd like to know what you think.
Takeaway from 12 years with Gordon Smith was how fortunate we are to live in a state with so many heroes. Because one of my favorite quotes is the quote from Governor Tom McCall, who said that heroes are not statues framed against a red sky. They are individuals who say, this is my country and it's my responsibility to make it better. And boy, here in Oregon, you look in every corner of the state and you can see heroes, from Astoria, where Betsy Johnson is such a fabulous public servant, over to Central Oregon, over to Southern Oregon. You look anywhere and you'll see heroes, standing up saying, I want to make my community better, and running for mayor or port commissioner or school board, like my wife Becky did and was elected to the Beaverton School Board. There's heroes in every corner of the state. I suppose that's true in other states, but it seems to be especially true in Oregon. And another lesson I learned was that each and every day, we had in Senator Smith's office, we had one person whose full-time job was helping Oregonians bring loved ones or family members into the country for immigration. People wanted to come to America. Every day we had a letter, a phone call, something from somebody wanting help in getting into America. And for 12 years, we never had anybody ask for help in getting out of America. And despite our nation's faults, and we have them, I think that says a lot about the country, that people still would do anything they could to come to America. Would I run for office? I don't know if I could get elected.
Tim Boyle, do you think he should run for governor?
I thought he was governor.
Kerry, there's a theme in your life. It seems that whatever your fortunes might be, great parents, great family, great opportunities, you are compelled to give back.
Learned at an early age from watching my parents that giving back is part of a good life. You don't make $1 million in public service, but you can make 1 million differences, which is just as good.
Kerry Tymchuk, building, serving, giving, making Oregon great.